I think I sent you this, didn't I? UN Chief Ban Ki-moon. Um,
Wait. Man, everything's tickling my funny bone today. Um, I don't know if I have the link, so my question is that actually real name?
that's actually his real name. Ban, not Bang. Ban.
Oh, okay, gotcha. UN chief. I do see that. Sorry, I missed that.
Well, see,
And
I'm a Hoosier. I mean, I get a little bit of an Indiana accent. Ban Ki-moon. Yeah, that's a dude's real name. He again, UN Secretary General. He says that we must address the conditions, Michael, that gave rise to what he called this poison, aka Islamic extremism. So I think that that's something we need to, again, in conjunction with our deep commitment to, the true tenets of the peaceful religion. I think that we have to educate people of the world, really, not just the United States, in terms of what we need to change, how we're at fault, what we all did to cause these people to behave like this in the first place.
you know what? That's a very good point. Um, you know what, man? I'm looking at his remarks here, Mike. We may need to do a weekend show because 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 look, first his first thing up is probably the most important thing to my heart, and that is sustainable development.
Well, exactly. I mean,
Right? And then
that's
the next issues that he brings up, framing, reinforcing an agenda, six essential elements which can ensure that the vision expressed by member states is communicated to the global public. Women's empowerment, participation, education, and health, central to all our activities and hopes. Mike, sustainable development. And you know what? Oh, I just had an idea. Is there a way that we can have sustainable development hand in hand with spreading the true tenets of Islam? I mean, there's got to be a way that we can build a worldwide global infrastructure.
well, I think you're right. And as the show is, about to go global any minute. All right. I think maybe we should have a little, maybe, I don't know, maybe, part of the weekend show or maybe a segment on our regular show once a week, or maybe even just, a section on the website where we explain what the UN is all about, what Ban Ki-moon and the rest of those people believe. It can be everywhere from sustainable energy to global warming to, how we all can atone for our sins that have caused Islamic fascists to behave the way they do. I think that would be not just a public service, but like a global service where we could explain to folks that might not have been paying attention to the UN.
Right. Oh God.
We
Yeah.
got a lot, dude. We got a lot to do.
Important work.
I'm thinking maybe, you know, since you're messaging with Jen, tell her that like we're really sorry, but we're gonna we're gonna cut the show here in 12 minutes because we got to get our asses in gear.
I mean, we're sitting here dinking around, cutting up and making comments about this or that, and there is serious, important work to be done, minds to be changed, and hearts to be touched.
And shame on us. And
Oh,
so,
yes.
all right, like I said, we got 10, 12 minutes. What do you want to hit first, man? You sent me some stuff. I got a couple things, but let's go where you feel like going.
Well, I think first thing I want to do is I want to talk about this libertarian article about why drunk driving should be legalized.
Perfect. Right up our alley.
I think that so, folks, this is an article I pulled out of Liberty.me. I didn't write anything on it, and so I think it's actually kind of genius, and it's an interesting idea. Here's the guy's. Here's his proposition. Let me go down to the point. The guy's point is this: that generally, and specifically, that drunk driving should not be illegal.
Yeah, you know what? Just go ahead and say that again for those that might have gone, what?
It's a libertarian perspective that drunk driving should not be legal.
Should not be illegal.
Excuse me. Yes, that, or put it this way, that drunk driving should not be illegal. That
Right.
alcohol content in the blood should not be necessarily restricted or penalized.
Let's just go ahead and explain the logic for a second, and then let's talk about it.
Okay, well, here's the idea: is that that what it's doing is it's measuring your blood alcohol, right?
Right.
And so, what's being criminalized is the chemical makeup of blood in your body. And the point is that that itself should not be a crime. That having a certain blood content restrictions or having certain blood content being illegal is in itself totalitarian. That's
Yeah.
the idea that
Yeah.
from a libertarian perspective that the government should not be involved in telling you what your blood content should or should not be, or penalizing you if your blood alcohol content is at or is not at a certain level.
See, and I like, dude, I mean, I'm in total agreement. I mean, if you don't, if you can get liquored up, and you can hold your alcohol better than, the guy sitting on the bar stool next to you at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you can, like, even if you got one eye open, and you got to really focus, but you can drive down the street straight. You can stop at stoplights, stop signs, not hit anyone, and get home. Then what the hell business is it of the governments that you're like drunk out of your mind?
Well, here's the point, and this is the libertarian answer: is that drunk driving should not be the issue. It's reckless driving that should
Right.
be the issue.
Right.
So, whether or not your blood alcohol level is high or not, whether or not you're texting or not, or doing drugs, or beating your children, or beating anything else that you might be carrying with you, the issue is: are you driving recklessly or not?
Mhm.
That the government shouldn't have any business criminalizing peaceful behavior, but should penalize and stop that type of behavior which is not desired. And the analogy is this: most murders are committed from some sort of grudge or hate.
Right.
But when you go on trial for murder, they're not addressing the hate or the grudge. There isn't a law against holding a grudge. The law is against the behavior. The behavior is killing another human being.
Sure. I mean, then you got the whole like hate crime analogy and stuff that you could throw in there as well. But
Well, yeah, and we can talk about the hate crime, but I'll
no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just saying, the logic is similar.
Right.
Uh,
I will go on record to say that I think that the idea of hate crime is absolutely absurd.
Bingo. Me too.
You know what? I would have guessed that you thought it was absurd. What about you, Jess? Do you want to weigh in? What do you think about hate crime legislation? Meaning, if I kill you because you're a dirty Latina, as opposed to somebody I hate, I should go to jail for longer.
I think it doesn't make me any more or less dead. So it's really asinine. That's
Yeah,
my
okay,
opinion.
good. So all three of us are on board with that. So I don't know, man. It was interesting when I saw, and that was just a for instance. I don't necessarily want to publicly state for the record that I think you're a dirty Latina, okay?
I got you.
Dude, did you read Howsam, did you read Jessica's message to you about phrasing?
Well, yeah, I did that intentionally. That was exactly what I was trying to say. Jessica,
again-
I'm glad that you got that. It's exactly what I was referring to.
All right.
Once again, behind the scenes at the right mics, sometimes it's more fun than on the air. So, Howsam, what do you really think about that? I mean, of course, we know libertarians. I mean, staunch libertarians, the Ron Paul group, and whomever else. Nothing should be illegal as it relates to heroin. From marijuana to heroin. And I've said on this show and mine previously that I think that it's kind of ridiculous not to mention hypocritical, as it particularly relates to alcohol, that recreational marijuana should not be legal. I mean, it should in every state in the union. But I mean, these guys go all the way, obviously, cocaine and crack and heroin and everything else. So just to put them in context, but bottom line, in reality, what do you think about this drunk driving?
Well, you know what? I think it's genius. And let me make a couple points. Number one is, remember when Colorado and Washington, when they legalized marijuana, I recall at the time there was this, oh my gosh, how are the police going to be able to determine marijuana impairment levels? There's no roadside check to see what your impairment level is. There's no objective standard by which to say, oh, you're impaired, like we have for alcohol. And what this does is this completely eliminates all of that. Because the issue is, regardless of how much junk you have in your system, let's look at this. They're quoting this philosopher guy. Let me read this because it's exactly on point. If our ultimate goals are to reduce driver impairment and maximize highway safety, we should be punishing reckless driving. It shouldn't matter if it's caused by alcohol, sleep deprivation, prescription medication, text messaging, or road rage. If lawmakers want to stick it to dangerous drivers who threaten everyone else on the road, they can dial up the civil and criminal liability for reckless driving, especially in cases that result in injury or damage. Doing away with the specific charge of drunk driving sounds radical at first blush, but it would put the focus back on impairment where it belongs. It might repair some of the civil liberties damage done by the invasive powers of the government, says it needs to catch and convict drunk drivers. If the offense were reckless driving rather than drunk driving, for example, repeated swerving over the median line would be enough to justify the charge, period. There'd be no need for a cop to jam a needle in your arm alongside a busy highway.
Yeah, no, I got it. Okay, let me tell you what, just part of why I disagree with the proposal, the concept. I know a lot of guys, a lot of people who, in fact, I have a good friend. He can get liquored up at a sports bar, to the point to where, I threatened his wife, and they'll be like, well, I'm going to switch to scotch. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. If you do, I'm going to call your wife, and she's going to come get you. To that point. And then he switches, and then, slurring words and everything. He swears to God that when he can barely walk, that because I'm drunk, I'm more aware, and I'm a better driver. I pay more attention because I'm afraid I don't want to get stopped. Dude's gone home and parked in his yard. He's gone home and parked next to the driveway. There are a lot of people, that could blow a 2.5 or whatever, that would swear to you that they're good to go. They can drive and they would be fine. But then if you look statistically at drunks who get in accidents versus people who aren't, I'm just supposing. I think that's two different numbers. So I think it would part of why I think it's a ridiculous idea. It would instill in people, or falsely confirm to them that I'm good. When I get drunk, I can drive, and as long as I don't get in a wreck, I'm never going to get caught. I just think the whole thing's nonsense.
Well, here's the thing, man. I remember, when one of the few times that I got a ticket and I had to go to traffic school, they show that video of all these folks. They get out in a big parking lot that are all asserting that, oh, alcohol doesn't impair me and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I've actually seen one of those videos.
Right. So they're testing blood alcohol level and they're testing response time. And it's basically the outlier exception that proves the rule that alcohol doesn't affect you. But the issue here is not any sort of reduction of enforcement of reckless driving.
Dude, I get all that. Let me ask it this way. Generally speaking, are we better off as not being drunk with more drunk people on the road or less?
Generally less.
Yeah, so this sends a completely wrong message.
No, it doesn't, Mike, because here's the thing, is that if your driving is reckless, regardless of the reason.
I get that. But I'm saying,
well, that's the disincentive. If you're stupid enough to think that your drunk driving won't be impaired, or your driving won't be impaired by alcohol, you're driving down the road, you swerve a bit, the cop pulls you over. He could care less whether you blow a .05 or a .25. You're going to jail.
So we're out of time. We got to go. All I'm saying is there's a lot of people out there that get drunk all the time that do drive. We're out of here. We'll be back with Jen Van Laar.